Hello and welcome. I wanted to do a quick video on the history of digital accessibility within the United States of America. You can see here the overall timeline I'm going to walk you through. Just let me zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better. So within the United States of America, we actually started some accessibility laws in 1990 when the American Disabilities Act was signed by President George H.W. Bush. Now, this really was more from a physical compliance standpoint. So think parking spaces, think ramps, that type of thing. For physical locations, how do you make it accessible for everyone, even doorknob heights, so everyone can reach, right? It wasn't really until 2003 that government websites were included in that American Disabilities Act. So the Department of Justice published accessibility of state and local government websites to provide guidance on how to make websites accessible. Again, this is more guidance versus hard rules, but it focused on how do you make government websites accessible so everyone can pay their water bills, everyone can pay their permits or file for a claim or file for a license, right? They really wanted to make sure everyone could access government websites. So in 2010, the Department of Justice included website accessibility in a publication as an attempt to enforce website accessibility across more areas than just government websites. So it was definitely expanding in 2010 to a lot of different areas. From 2015 to 2016, the Department of Justice added on to that and included 3 paragraphs of website accessibility. So trying to make sure it was more clear what people need to do, what people don't need to do, and really make it more enforceable across a wide range of areas, not just government websites. What ended up happening in more of a chain reaction was a lot of lawsuits, a huge spike of lawsuits in 2018 within the United States of America. From all of those lawsuits, 103 members of the U.S. House of Representatives drafted a letter regarding the flood of accessibility lawsuits with no legal standard guidelines. The Department of Justice then withdrew 4 rulemaking attempts, basically saying we can't enforce these 4 rulemaking attempts, so let's withdraw them and hopefully reduce the amount of lawsuits coming through. So the first lawsuit really to note of was in 2019 with Domino's. That actually took 3 years for it to go through the entire judicial process, and it ended up confirming that all websites, not just government websites, and mobile applications must be made accessible. That's how the court ruled that Domino's was in the fault and that they needed to make their website and mobile apps accessible. What happened in that lawsuit was actually a blind man could not order food through either their websites or their mobile applications, and then filed the lawsuit. And then 3 years later, that was the result, that Domino's was in the fault, and they were ordered to then make their websites and mobile applications accessible. Now turn to 2020 with the global coronavirus, and this is actually causing a lot more discussion about accessibility and how to work remotely for all users. So some work offices made their workspaces accessible, but when you talk about working remote, they might not have those same tools and capabilities in their home office. So how do you make digital offices, digital software remote, regardless of where they're being accessed from? So the coronavirus was really bringing out more conversations and topics about digital accessibility and how to make sure everyone has access to all things within the accessibility realm, so everyone has equal opportunity there. Thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you soon.